Well, hello again, my friends. Ruben Obed coming back at you with a new video. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me just raise the volume here. Okay, just want to get a good signal. Okie dokie. So, a lot of people have asked me, how do you become a music producer? Um, Being a music producer, especially a Latin music producer, um, what, is it just me or this is just my? Okay, now we're back. Now I can hear. Okay, good. Let me lower these. Yeah, I think that cable was bad. All right. Anyway, let me start back again. All right, let me start this video. A lot of people have asked me, Ruben, how do you become a music producer? They want to get into the whole production scene on in music production. Well, look, um, that question is a little bit difficult to answer. I'm gonna explain why. There's so many different types of genres of music. Okay, and there's not one way to become a music producer. That's why I put the title of the video is what does it take to become a Latin music producer. Latin music, when I'm talking about salsa, merengue, bachata, Latin music is a music that is complex. You know what I'm saying? It's complex musically. When you go to a recording studio, you want to become a Latin music singer. Um, you need to find an arranger to make the music for you. Okay, it's kind of like a film, a movie. They hire an arranger or a composer to make the score of the music. Well, Latin music, especially salsa, is that way. You need a producer or an arranger to make the charts, basically the notes written on the charts. That is given to the studio. When the musicians come in, they read what's on the paperwork, and they get the salsa song done. Now, sometimes the studio owner, like in my case, I make my own music arrangements and I record them in my own studio. But I have a knowledge of how to make arrangements. I play piano, you know what I mean? I make my musical score, and then I take it to the other level. You know, so to be a Latin music producer is actually a lot more complicated because you need to be a musician. You really need to know how to make the music, how to arrange it. Now, if you are getting into the rap game, if you're getting into the trap and that other type of music, well, you can kind of get away with having a limited musical knowledge, you know. But it doesn't mean that anybody can do it. I mean, hip hop and you have to know your rhythms. You have to know if something's off tone, off beat, you know, and that requires talent too, maybe not to the level of detail as a Latin music, or somebody doing like Latin jazz, where need to know chord progressions, where you need to know what diminished chords are, where you need to know your scales. It's a totally different level. And when I say level, I don't mean that in a condescending way. I'm just saying it's a different level in terms of what is done musically. Um if you want to become a Latin music producer, or a music producer at that, my best advice would be get a piano. Get a piano and start playing with it. Start using it, because even if you're making hip hop beats, you know what I'm saying? You need to at least have some kind of skill on the piano, even if it's three notes. You know what I mean? Because you start constructing these beats. You're not gonna be just grabbing samples from everybody and put it on. I mean, some producers go that route. I mean, that's their style, But if you are really into creating your own music, you need to have a little bit of piano skill. so you could get your beats, because you could do the drum pads right on the keyboard. You activate, your MIDI 808 or whatever drum thing you want to use, and you make your beats on the keyboard with the keys. You use it as a drum pad. You need some chords, you need a bass line. Even if it's one note, boom, boom, that boom, that's one note. That's one note that you play on the keyboard. Boom, 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 boom. Right there, right there. You got the bass, boom, and you got the drum track, boom, boom, boom. All right. Then over top of that, you overlay it with something else that you might come up on a piano. So you're going boom, 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 boom. You see what I'm saying? Right there, you got three tracks. You got the drum track, boom, and then you got the bass, boom, and then you got all right. Three tracks right there. Boom. Lay that down. But you need to know what the hell you're doing on the keyboard. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be a complex thing. Now, if we're talking about salsa, Latin music, I mean, the same advice holds true. Get yourself a piano, start learning your chords, start learning your chord progressions, even if it's by ear. Because something that people don't understand is this, okay? What is written on the paper is written on the paper, okay? And what is played on the piano is played on the piano. There are people who are eloquent speakers. They know how to speak, but they don't know how to write. So just because a person cannot write the music doesn't mean that they don't know what the hell they're doing. In my case, most of my career, I didn't know how to read music. Most of my career, that's the reality. But on the keyboard, I could play anything, and I understood the chord progressions, and I understood the syncopations. Everything. I understood it. I just didn't know how to read it. I didn't know how to write it. In less than a year, I'm writing because I already knew. I already knew music. All I needed to know was how to write it, and I learned that in 1 year. And right now, I could read, look at a chart, play anything. Why? Because I already know how to play piano. I just didn't. I kind of knew how to read, but I took an entire year, actually a year and a half, and I dedicated myself to reading. I know how to read. Give me a chart, I'll read it. But with that said, right now, if somebody comes in the studio and wants me to do a salsa track for them, I don't need the papers. I don't need to write it down. I don't need to write the score because I make the arrangement. And after the arrangement is done, that I'm hearing everything, then I just sit down and write what I did. Boom. I write it down. Or I use a program like Sibelius and, print it out. That's what I'm saying? So don't frustrate yourself with that. Just start doing it. Get a keyboard, start doing it. Learn how to do that. The term producer, okay, and this is a thing that I like to stress. When you use the term producer, a lot of people are musicians, but not everybody is a producer. A musician can go into the studio, okay, he'll lay down the bass line, and he might bring a guitar and he's strumming it, and okay, that's beautiful, and he'll put together a song. Okay, but when you hear that song, a lot of times it's just like blah. Okay, it sounds right, it's on beat, it's on point, but it isn't produced. When you produce something, you add like a certain magic to the music. You do certain little ideas and certain things, and you craft it, you polish it, you shine it up, you add little bells and whistles, you the concept of what you're doing. So it's not just the song, it's the concept. So a producer is a musician that has all the skills to do it, but at the same time has that insight of what is trending, what's hot, what sounds good, what is outdated, what takes that song to another level. That, my friend, is becoming a producer. When you start to produce, you know what I'm saying? Some producers, their mind is so versatile. Like, they'll have a new artist and they're like, no, we're going this route. No, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. We're gonna go retro. We're gonna do this song with a new hip hop track, but we're gonna bring in some shit from the 1930s. That's a producer. So if you walk into a recording studio and you got your money, you're gonna do your album. Who's gonna produce your album? Because your album, the studio, your album isn't gonna be produced by the studio engineers. Many times the engineer, he owns a studio, but he doesn't know how to produce. He knows how to record, he knows how to mix, he knows how to master, but he's not a producer. So when you're doing an album, and if you have a band, that's a lot of this happens a lot with rock bands. You have a band, you got 4 or 5 guys, and you got your songs, and you step into the studio and you record those songs, and you have 10 songs, and you send it to a record label, and the record label listens to it, and the record label hears 10 songs. They don't hear something produced. They don't see the concept, the vibe. It's lost because it wasn't produced by a producer. It was produced by what? A musician. Now, I'm not saying that a musician can't be a producer. I'm saying that many times a musician and a producer are two different people. There are other extremes. There are producers who know nothing about music, but when they hear the music that the musician puts together, they add a certain insight, a certain touch to it, which is what makes it genuine and makes it a production. So it's a lot. It's a lot from every angle. It's a lot of things. But my advice is to get started. My advice: get familiar with your DAW, your digital audio workstation. Get whatever it is. I don't care if you use Pro Tools. I don't care if you use Cubase or Sonar. It doesn't matter, because if you produce crap, it's going to sound like crap on Pro Tools. It's going to sound like crap on Nuendo. It's going to sound like crap on whatever program. The program is there to simply record what your brain comes up with. So people go around bragging, oh, I got Pro Tool 333 HD. I got this, DigiDesign. I got this, I got that. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter what you got. If your singer can't sing, if your musicians are out of beat, it's garbage. You know what I mean? So don't put so much emphasis. Look, I know people, all right, and I know of artists, famous artists. I'm not going to name them. They brought shit out that they made in GarageBand on an iPad. Yup. And many of y'all bought those albums. Why? Because it's not the equipment. You know what I mean? It's not the hammer, it's the carpenter. The music industry is a great field. It's a field where you learn a lot of stuff. In my experiences, I've had a lot of wonderful life experiences because of the music industry. I would say all the blessings that I have gotten in my life, and I know first it's God, but God uses tools, and I believe God has directed all those blessings to me through music, through the music industry. The music industry has given me so much. And when I say giving me so much, I'm not talking about money, guys. Y'all got to get the goddamn word out of the money out of your head. Because if you're going into this thinking about money, you might as well just quit and get a 9 to 5. You might as well just quit right now. If you're thinking about money from the beginning, get out of the game. You got to do this because you love it. You got to do this because you want to grind, because you like spending 15 hours in the studio editing and you got to love this shit. If you don't love it, you're just going to be a year, make a little noise, and that's it. And it's just gonna go nowhere, because you got to be willing to take the hits. You got to be willing to accept the fact that you're gonna be a starving artist, and that you might just blow up. It might take you a year. It might take you 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's gonna happen in the music industry, because all it takes is one freaking hit song, just one, to put you on the map. So you could be producing some kick-ass stuff and it goes nowhere and it gets 2 views on YouTube. And nobody even shares it, nobody even likes it, and it might be very, very good material. But the moment you get that one hit, you hit it, you just, something happened, the cosmos aligned and God put his hand and said, boom, that song is gonna blow up. Then you better run with it, run with it, because you got a hit on your hands. And that hit is gonna put you on the map. It's gonna let the world know. And when I say the world, I'm not talking about only the public, I'm talking about the artists. They're like, damn, I like that guy's sound. I like how he does shit. Yeah, everybody, a lot of people does that kind of music, but that one guy, he's got like something that I like his style. You see, it's like a flavor that you put into your music, and you listen to people like the producers like Swiss, like people from Rockefeller, I'm trying to, the God, my brain, here in Puerto Rico, Looney Tunes, you know, um, they all have something special. And not only the producers, the artists got something special. Like in the Latin scene, one of the best producers in the Latin scene, his name's Sergio George, top of the line. That's one of the baddest guy. A lot of like salsa people, they praise him, a lot of criticize him. I think he's a genius. You know what I mean? And like him, there are a few that I have up there. Like those are the geniuses. But those guys, they got a touch. They got a little touch, and you got to create your own sound. You got to invent, something that makes you stand out. That every time somebody hears your stuff, they say, "Damn, that sounds like so and so made that beat." Or that sounds like so and so did that salsa track. Or damn, that sounds like a Ruben Obed song. Or that sounds like this guy. Or that sounds, and when you reach that point that you got your own sound, then like the artists will be knocking on your door because they want that sound. What this reminds me of? I believe it was Seinfeld. There was an episode where there was this guy that they called the soup Nazi, and the soup Nazi was some dude who had this business, and he made this awesome soup that everybody was just dying to eat the fucking soup. But he was really strict. And if you didn't follow every single step and wait in line and you didn't get no soup, he said, you go away. You're no soup for you today. It was the soup Nazi. You might want to look that up on YouTube. It's funny as shit. But it happens in real life. If you're a producer and you're hot, and right now you're hot and the labels want you and the artists want you and they're mentioning you, that's the moment. That's the moment that you made it. You say, damn, I made it. Shit. But once you get that moment, you better be smart. You better put your money away. You better not spend your money on crap, because it's not going to last forever. It's going to last maybe 2 to 4 years, and maybe less. Some people 1 year. So be wise, because not everybody gets a long ass career. Some do, but many don't. You might be hot now, so capitalize on that. Spread yourself out. Get into songwriting. Forget about you being the artist. Forget about that. Forget about your ego. Start writing for others, producing for others. You'll get your break. Once you got your own money, you don't even have to sign with a label. You just put your own shit out. And all those artists who you produce for, they're gonna buy your thing because they know that guy's a badass. You know what I'm saying? So, if you want to be an artist, you could get in producing or writing songs. That is my advice to you guys. I hope it is beneficial to you guys. I hope it helps you out and at least points you in the right direction with music production. Like I said, if you go getting into this game, get ready to get criticized, get ready to be looked at like a loser, get ready to be told that a million people make it, or get ready for people to tell you to get a job or go to college or a whole bunch of stuff. You got to believe in yourself. And the moment you hit it big and you roll up in your Ferrari in front of all those haters, believe me, it's gonna be really worth it. And you're gonna remember. You're gonna be like, you know what? I stuck to what I wanted to do, and I prevailed and I succeeded. So best of luck to everybody. God bless, and I hope all your dreams come true and y'all become these big ass pop stars and producers and make it big. Take care.